Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Cayman Pharmacy Group, with a location in West Bay and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. Seaboard Marine, with over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com for competitive rates. FIS MoneyGram, the safest and most convenient way to send money worldwide. MoneyGram, bringing you closer. Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. And Fidelity Bank. Fidelity, we're good for you.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the Record.
For the Record. For the Record.
Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you.
For the Record.
Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the Record.
For the Record. For the Record.
Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome to For the Record. Long time no see. Want to thank everyone for tuning in this morning to Radio Cayman and For the Record. Those of you who are on the roads of the Cayman Islands, whether you're a pedestrian, whether you're a cyclist, if you're operating any type of vehicle on the roads of the Cayman Islands, we urge you to be extremely cautious. Please ensure that you observe the rules of the road. Remember, the life that you save may be your own. We're seeing more and more persons on the roads exercising, walking, cycling, running, and I would just like to issue a word of caution for those of you who are cycling on the roads. Now, I do realize that the stores, most of the stores have been closed during the stay-at-home period, the lockdown period. And it would be extremely difficult for those who do not have a helmet to wear when they're cycling to obtain one. Now that those stores may have the ability to open, I would encourage you to please invest in a helmet if you intend to cycle. If you have kids who will ride their bikes, whether they're just riding in the driveway or on your local your local street, not on the main roads, please ensure that you wear a helmet, because any fall makes you vulnerable to a head injury as well. So no matter how short the cycle ride may be, please wear a helmet. Invest in a helmet as soon as you get an opportunity, because it will add to your safety on the bike as well. Folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman and by extension For the Record into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I'm your host, Orrett Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. During that period, our phone lines are always open with that beautiful radio voice of Miss Susan waiting to take your calls. You can call us on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flow. That toll-free number, 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and 949-6990. Of course, if you can't talk on the telephone, then email us at for the record, one word, for the record, at candw.ky. WhatsApp us 925-3261, where you can send us a text message or leave us a voice note, the contents of which will be played during the course of the show. And of course, you can follow us on YouTube simply by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream. For those of you who are celebrating a birthday today, we want to wish you a happy birthday as well. And if you've celebrated one in the past few days, like Miss Dana Coles, who's the sister of Miss Phyllis Moxham. Dana celebrated a birthday last Friday, so we want to send a belated happy birthday to her as well. And anyone else who's celebrating a birthday or who may have celebrated one also. If you have lost loved ones over the past few days, past few weeks, we want to send our sincere condolences to you, and we hope and trust that your faith will help to carry you through these very challenging times. And of course, speaking of loss, the Cayman Islands have lost another icon in the person of Mrs. Olive Miller. And with that, I will introduce our guest this morning, MLA Mr. Ezard Miller, who's a relative of Miss Olive, and I'll ask him to say a few words about his Aunt Olive as well. Mr. Miller, good morning, sir. Welcome to For the Record.
Yeah, morning, OC. Yes, we had two blows in the last couple of weeks. First, we had Aunt Yvonne about 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
And at Olive, and both of them were special people in very special ways. And Yvonne was such a quiet individual. You all remember her for all the years she worked at the hospital, responsible for your medical records, and always did the reception most of the time as well too. And then at Olive, of course, at Olive was an icon in this country. She came here as a missionary many years ago, and I can't think of anything I don't believe that Aunt Olive didn't do. From editing newspapers, being a reporter, working as secretary to the administrator, working in various roles in government, and of course NCVO she was very much involved in the whole creation of that and all of the agencies under it, like the Nadine Andreas preschool, and that was her life work. And you know, sometimes when we used to say to her, "Well, Olive, it's time to retire. Why are you taking on all these jobs?" Her usual reply, "Well, it's not a job. It's just something God sent me to do." You know.
Okay, we see where the Girls Brigade has put out something as well, a post, and I'd like to share that with our audience. It reads, "Today, Girls Brigade Cayman mourns the loss of her founder and patron, Mrs. Olive Miller, OBE, and we extend our deepest sympathy to her family. We give thanks for a life well lived. Miss Olive impacted the lives of thousands of people in this country in so many ways. And for those of us in the Girls Brigade, we are so very grateful for her life. She lived her life with a steadfast faith in God. She was a leader in every sense of the word. Miss Olive was committed to the task, my apologies there, and continued to contribute to the work of the Girls Brigade throughout her life. We will miss her at our various events, whether they were council meetings, leaders' retreats, day camps, overnight camps, International Day of Prayer, Christmas carol services, Zumbatron, awards evening, to name a few. Whatever our events, she attended and participated. We give thanks to a phenomenal lady who gave of herself over and over again. Her life was an example of how one person could so positively impact the lives of thousands of people. We will miss her forever in the hearts of her Girls Brigade family. May her soul rest in peace.
Yeah, she lived a full life. Not only was a socialite in many respects. She enjoyed a good gathering, but her greatest joy in life, came from assisting other people in improving their life and living a full life for themselves. She was a great dancer. I have great memories of her and Daddy waltzing like butterflies across a dance floor 30, 40 years ago when they both could really move. They could cover the whole dance floor in one waltz. And it was as if they were, mentally connected and it didn't miss it. There was no missteps at all, So she enjoyed life. I think she got a lot of satisfaction in helping others. So we give thanks for her life.
Definitely. We have the report on Tuesday's press briefing, and the highlights basically there were out of the 1,182 test results conducted over the public holiday weekend, because we didn't have a press briefing from Friday until Tuesday. 17 positive cases were reported. 2 of the positives cases announced occurred in Cayman Brac, and 2 were reported at Her Majesty's Prison Northward. And of course, Her Majesty's Prison Northward has issued a press release as well in that regard. But this health being part of your forte and your expertise, Mr. Miller, in terms of the numbers increasing, we sort of expected that to happen once the number of tests rose as well. Can you talk a little bit about that for us?
I think that while there is room for concern that we've got 17 in one report, when we've gotten kind of used to being 1 or 2 or 3. But I think when you look at the number of tests that were done over that period of time, some 1,000 plus tests, to only get 17, I still believe that we can take a certain amount of comfort that it is really not rampart out there in the community and the society. And I think that a lot of those 17, they seem to know where they came from. Probably the 2 that they wouldn't, but they had to do some detailed tracing on those, the 2 for Cayman Brac, because up until this time we've had none in Cayman Brac, and they were basically shut off, and so that it would be interesting to see if they can trace that back to one of the original contacts that were locally who moved to the Brac or something. But all in all, I continue to say that I believe the government is doing a good job in containment. I think there is, and there will be time for criticism, and there's much to be criticized in some of the way things are being implemented, etc., etc. But now is not the time.
Right.
I think what we need to do now is, as leaders, is to set a good example for the people to follow, not be like some of our neighbours here to the north who shall remain nameless. But from today on now, we're all required to wear masks in public, and I think that we as leaders should do that and set an example. The government has given out a lot of masks. I've visited some 880 homes in Northside and delivered masks over the last week. We have the right-hand side of Frankstown Estates and Lariat Road left to do in Northside, but my wife and my personal assistant, Ms. Carol, are going to attempt to get that done today.
Okay.
So there's no excuse. I don't know what's going on in other constituencies, but certainly not having a mask to wear in public is I don't think would be an acceptable or an adequate excuse at these days. We have to maintain the social distancing. And we have to be careful. We're not out of the woods yet, so we have to make sure, because it only takes one. I think it was it in South Korea or something, where they reported in the media that one person had managed to infect some 15,000 people by virtue of going to churches and whatnot.
Yes.
And so it's one is too much.
Yes.
So we just have to be careful, and I encourage everybody, now that we've started to open up the economy, if you're in one of the things in the construction industry, be careful. Follow the medical guidelines. Wear your mask. Maintain your social distance if at all possible. You and I both know that in constructions there are going to be times when that's not possible.
Precisely.
But that's when you need to have on your mask. You know, and as when you come in contact with somebody in that kind of close environment, make sure you wash your hands as at the first opportunity. After, even if it's just on the garden hose, even if you don't have sufficient soap, and I hope and trust that all the construction sites have equipped themselves to facilitate their workers being able to practice the hygiene of washing their hands, etc. And as you and I discussed earlier on, when I talk about washing your hands, I'm talking about up to the elbows, not just your fingertips. Yes. This is not just dingling your fingers under the faucet.
Yeah.
And I repeat, it's not a bad idea to wash your face too, if you're in that kind of a situation.
Right.
So we hope and trust that people will accept the medical guidelines, and well, some of them are legal guidelines now. You're legally required to wear a mask in public, and if you don't, you can be fined up to $1,000. Yes. So that's where we are, and I think we just have to live with it. We were going back to the Legislative Assembly today. We will maintain our social distance as we did at the last meeting, and some people will be attending the meeting by Zoom.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to take a commercial break. When we return, I want to talk a little bit too about contact tracing and look at what other jurisdictions are doing and seeing whether or not we need to employ more persons in that area in terms of contact tracing as the numbers start to increase as well.
Definitely,
folks,
yeah.
Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
James Stafford Banks, 1908-1975.
Stafford Banks started out as a seaman, but later returned home to start his own business. He owned and operated a variety store and meat market in West Bay for many years, employing a great number of local people. He was married to Velma Arabella E. Banks, and the couple had 3 children. Stafford had the first light plant in West Bay and supplied power to the Presbyterian Church free of charge. He was also a pioneer in the taxi business and used his taxi to transport Dr. Horder to his calls all over the island, and Reverend Blackman to different districts to preach. In early times, he also used it as a hearse to transport the dead. Stafford was credited with saving the life of a fisherman who had lost his paddle and was drifting out to sea. He was a member of the First Chamber of Commerce and served as a vestryman and MLA for a number of years.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
With no vaccine, with no cure, our current solution is keeping our distance and staying at home. We stay at home to keep safe, to reduce harm to others. We stay apart while out and about, space between life and death. We keep our distance 6 feet apart because 6 feet apart is better than 6 feet below. We stay at home because it takes upwards of 40 nurses, doctors, laboratory technicians, housekeepers to care for one COVID-19 patient. Diagnosis, intubation, extubation to full recovery. 40 healthcare professionals and their families at risk while taking care of one COVID-19 patient. Breathe easy. Keep your distance. Stay home. Don't risk you. Don't risk others. This is Rotary Central saying, live to breathe, breathe to live, because breathing is everything.
FIS MoneyGram is pleased to announce their Shedden Road location will be reopening for money transfer services effective Monday, May the 4th. Due to COVID-19 restrictions, MoneyGram and Shedden Road will be open from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday, servicing customers with A through K surnames on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and customers with L through Z surnames on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. To ensure social distancing requirements, customers are required to make an appointment on their days by WhatsApp or texting 928-5130. That's 928-5130. MoneyGram, the safest and most convenient way to send money worldwide.
Fidelity Bank would like to thank all essential workers. We salute your efforts and thank you for the sacrifices you've made to keep us all safe. During these challenging times we're facing, our top priority is the health and safety of the communities we serve. And while it's true that things are changing rapidly every day, one thing that will never change is our commitment to giving you the best and sound financial solutions to help you during and after the coronavirus pandemic. At Fidelity Bank, our focus will always be you. Fidelity, we're good for you.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Hi, I'm thinking of buying a car from the States. Which port do you ship out of?
Hi, we ship out of Miami, Houston, and Brooklyn. Just let us know your port of choice and we can provide you with a quotation and answer any questions you may have on insuring and protecting your vehicle during its journey.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
Hi, I'm remodeling our bathroom. I have a few questions.
Sure.
What are some ideas to make my bathroom feel larger? How do I know if I'm picking the right vanity? How do I choose a new toilet or a new countertop? Also, the lighting is terrible. Can I put a window or a skylight? And do I really need an exhaust fan?
You've come to the right place. At Brand Source, we custom design kitchen and baths, and our talented design team can help answer your questions. Whether you're looking for a modern, functional family bathroom or a luxurious personal retreat, we'll help create that beautiful space that makes your home yours. And if you're in a rush for a new look and have a limited budget, our ready-to-install bathroom vanities, built with solid wood and countertops of the finest materials, are a quick and easy remodeling solution.
For the very best in custom-designed kitchens and baths, visit Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, Cayman's Kitchen and Bath Center.
The public is reminded that beach access will be allowed using the last name protocols strictly for exercise, including swimming. The hours for exercise have been extended to 2 hours each day between 5:15 a.m. to 7 p.m. daily. Shoreline fishing and fishing by boat are allowed, but limited to 2 persons per boat. Strata pools can be used for swimming, and tennis courts can also be used, but are limited to members of a single household or a maximum of 2 persons with social distancing maintained. Also, public buses can operate. However, seating must be staged in such a way that each passenger is able to distance as far as possible from the other passengers and driver. All residents must wear face masks or other face coverings while taking public transportation, inside buildings or other public places. For more information and to view the new regulations in full, go to www.gov.ky/coronavirus.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, MLA, Mr. Ezra Miller. So, Mr. Miller, on the press briefing yesterday, Chief Medical Officer Dr. John Lee reported that out of the 1,182 test results conducted over the long weekend, that was 1,088 at the Health Services Authority and 94 at Doctors Hospital. That 17 positives from the screening program were reported, including 2 cases in Cayman Brac and 2 at Her Majesty's Prison Northward, and 1,165 were negative. He also pointed out that with these numbers, the average positive rate is 1.44%. 17 positives out of 1,182 tests. The highest the average positive rate has been in the past is 2.57. Screening of frontline health workers is complete, and testing of frontline workers, including a considerable number of supermarket workers, is well underway, including the majority of the prison haven't been tested. Screening is now also underway for the construction industry as well. So, with these additional positives, and if with ramped up contact tracing, do we believe that there's sufficient manpower out there for contact tracing, or should other persons be trained, either be redeployed within government, or those persons, for instance, who are accustomed to taking surveys for government, doing census, economic surveys, and should they be employed in that area as well?
I think there needs to be an expansion of data gathering. To get good public health policy, you got to involve people, because it's people that you affect. I suggested to the Minister of Health, when he talked about MLAs distributed in mass, that that wasn't the way to do it. The way I thought the best to do it was to employ the same people we just talked about, men in the private sector who train in remuneration for government, civil servants who are already getting paid, and deliver to every household in the island, and have a questionnaire that you ask people there, so that you could target testing. That question should not just be about whether you're symptomatic as about the coronavirus or flu symptoms. It should always be also about gathering data on underlying cases, so that we would know where the most vulnerable people are and where the high-risk people were, even if that's just a case of being obese, and you could target the testing, right? I believe that testing needs to be expanded. I would also like to see, I've actually written to government asking that the senior citizens in my little Northside senior citizen group be tested, and hopefully they're say they're going to try to get around to it as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm.
But I would like to see the district health clinics more involved in the testing procedure. Again, because they know where the vulnerable people are in that community. And that's the kind of stuff. But I think we need to ramp up testing. We should be doing much more testing at this stage. We have the test kits. I think I'm safe in saying that I think we have 2 machines at the HSA. We have 1 machine at the Doctor's Hospital. I'm not sure whether there's yet a machine at Health City. My understanding was that it was not. But we should be able to certify other people in those lab areas to run this machine and run it successfully and competently, so that we're not relying on 2 or 3 people to complete all these tests. I would think that we need to be looking somewhere in the region of 10 to 15 people who would be working on shifts and operating these machines. Because I also understand, I don't know this as a certainty because the government has not said so, but my understanding is from the EIU that the test kits that we have, the 100,000, expired December the 31st. That's not a long way away, right? We need to plan and have a testing regime that are going to use up those test kits by September. Because also in the pharmaceutical industry, the closer it gets to an expiry date, because the assumption is usually made that the manufacturing company will have extended it to the very limit.
Okay.
Depending on how they're stored, I would hazard a guess that you could run into false negatives and false positives 3 months before expiry date. In fact, most people like a 6 months cushion. So I think that we need to what we should be doing is say, listen, in order to test 51% of this population, so we're talking about 30,000 people, by September, that's the target we have. We need to work backward then and say, okay, that means we need to test 200 a day, right? How can we test 200 a day, right? This is the personnel we need to go out and get the samples. This is the personnel that we need to do the actual run the actual test, and we work forward from that so that come September, when we're talking about the possibility of opening up the economy even more, we will have tested more than 50% of the total population, and that should give us a very good indicator. That's a very important statistical sample. Excuse me.
Okay. Top of the hour, 8 o'clock news. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back with MLA Mr. Ezra Miller immediately after the 8 o'clock news.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. And studio time now by Foster's is 7:59.
During the month of May, Foster's Supermarket and Priced Right locations are again accepting donations for local charitable organizations. This month, we're supporting the Cayman Islands Crisis Center, NCVO, the Cayman Islands Cancer Society, Big Brothers Big Sisters, the Cayman Islands Red Cross, CARE, and Feline Friends. Next time you're shopping at Foster's or Priced Right, donate at the registers to help support our Cayman community.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. Olive Hilda Miller, OBE, has passed away. The Girls Brigade of the Cayman Islands posted online Tuesday that they were mourning the loss of their founder and patron, extending their deepest sympathy to her family. Newlands MLA Alva Suku posted a photo of him dancing with Miss Olive, saying, "Rest in peace, Mrs. Olive Miller." Hashtag Forever Dancing. Rest in peace, Cayman Islands' beautiful soul. In 2018, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II recognized Miss Olive in her New Year's honors list. The community volunteer picked up the Order of the British Empire for services to the community in the Cayman Islands. Among her other notable achievements, she founded the Girls Brigade in 1946, had a hand in starting the Cayman Islands High School, as well as opening up the Pines Retirement Home in 1983. Over the years, the philanthropist earned the MBE, Queen's Certificate, and Badge of Honor awards. Premier the Honorable Alden McLaughlin says there is a lesson to be learned from the 17 confirmed COVID-positive results.
I think the message today is that the virus is still very much about us and that it is across the community. It is not isolated to particular areas, although the prevalence of it, the incidences of it, are still very low. And all of those who have tested positive now are asymptomatic. The lesson in that particular bit is that just about anybody that you are talking to or you are dealing with may well have the virus.
With asymptomatic positive cases streaming in, government stands firm in its belief of a slow and managed economic reopening strategy for the islands, but steady improvements are already being seen.
I know quite a few people are happier today than they were this time last week because they get to go back fishing, they get to go to the beach for a walk and a run and a swim. And we hope that if the results continue along the current trajectory, that we will in due course be able to move from level 3, where we currently at, to level 2 in a few weeks.
He added that how reopening proceeds depends on future test results. In the meantime, the emergency evacuation flight to Manila, Philippines for Saturday is sold out and completely full.
There is no planned flight at the moment to Miami, but there will be further flights to Miami. That will take people out, but won't at the moment bring people back because we are at capacity in the isolation facilities.
His Excellency the Governor Martin Roper reported Tuesday that work continues on more British Airways air bridges to India. No progress to report on Jamaica and Nicaragua at the moment. The National Emergency Operations Center reminds the public that travel remains restricted between the 3 Cayman Islands until further notice. People should only travel between Grand Cayman, Little Cayman, and Cayman Brac to provide essential services as approved by the Ministry of International Trade or for emergency medical purposes with the permission of the Medical Officer of Health or the Director of the Sister Islands Health Services Authority. They must also undergo a 14-day mandatory isolation period at a government facility, as well as mandatory testing and direct transportation to the airport following a negative result. For more information about measures to prevent the spread of COVID-19 in the Cayman Islands, visit exploregov.ky/coronavirus. Now with the check of international news, here's the BBC, which will take us out of the newscast. I'm Karsley Fuller from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
BBC News with Jerry Smith. One of the most powerful South Asian storms for decades, Cyclone Amphan, has hit coastal Bangladesh and parts of eastern India. As it approached, strong winds uprooted trees and flattened some homes. In Bangladesh, a volunteer with the Red Crescent Society drowned after a boat capsized. Nearly 3 million people have been evacuated. China has reacted angrily after the US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo congratulated Taiwan's newly inaugurated President Tsai Ing-wen. Beijing considers Taiwan its own territory and discourages diplomatic contact with the island. In her inauguration address, Ms. Tsai said China should learn to coexist with the self-governing island. Beijing rejected her remarks. The aerospace giant Rolls-Royce has announced plans to cut at least 9,000 jobs worldwide, more than one-sixth of its workforce, because of the impact of the coronavirus pandemic. And those are the latest stories from BBC News.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Attention all blood donors, we need a pint from you. Join us at the National Blood Bank this Thursday, 10 a.m. until 3 p.m. The off-campus location at the Red Cross building across from the Farmers Market. Spend 15 minutes, give your pint, and save 3 lives. Curfew day not your day? Not a problem. Visit giveblood.ky, request your letter, and it will be emailed to you. The National Blood Bank Auxiliary location at the Red Cross building. Compliments of the Cayman Islands Red Cross. Community partners are Rotary Club Central, Generali Health Insurance, Car City Fosters Group, and the Cayman Blood Donors Service. Remember, when blood is needed, nothing else will do. This message is courtesy of the Rotary Club Central, supporting the National Blood Bank since 1999. Rotary, connecting the world. During these challenging times, it can be easy to lose sight of all that we have to be grateful for. As the world grapples with the effects of COVID-19, at the forefront of the fight are the many frontline workers diligently ensuring the continuity of our islands. From the police service, members of the National Emergency Operations Center, healthcare workers, the DEH, grocery and pharmacy attendants, and so many more. Along with the daily conch call at 6:59 p.m., Radio Cayman invites the community to call in to talk today, every Friday, for Frontline Fridays. Share your stories and experiences and let us as a community start the gratitude trend to the many people putting their lives on the front line. Whether you have a family member on the front line and wish to give them a shout out, or if you have a personal experience of Cayman kindness, we want to hear from you. Frontline Fridays, every Friday on Talk Today.
During these unprecedented times, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Cayman Strong Series. The Cayman Strong Series is brought to you by On Course Cayman. Visit oncourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. On Course Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
Change your thinking, change your life. Ultimately, taking action is the surest way to achieve results.
As motivational speaker Tony Robbins said, I believe life is constantly testing us for our level of commitment, and life's greatest rewards are reserved for those who demonstrate a never-ending commitment to act until they achieve. This level of resolve can move mountains, but it must be constant and consistent. As simplistic as this may sound, it is still the common denominator separating those who live their dreams from those who live in regret.
Change your thinking. Change your life. These days, feelings of loneliness, anxiety, stress, and depression can be overwhelming. Just know you are not alone. On Course Cayman offers private mental health services for children, teens, adults, and groups. Visit oncourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. On Course Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
Radio Cayman's Cayman Strong series was brought to you by On Course Cayman. Visit oncourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. On Course Cayman. Health, wellness, and happiness.
Good morning. Time now for the latest weather report. Current temperature is 85 degrees. Relative humidity is 80%. Barometric pressure is 29.93 inches and rising. The wind is out of the east-southeast at 6 knots. Overnight low temperature was 82 degrees. Synopsis indicate moderate southeasterly winds and seas expected across the Cayman area for the next 24 hours in association with a ridge of high pressure across the Caribbean. Radar images show isolated showers around the Cayman area, which are moving towards the northeast. Now the forecast for today and tonight, calling for partly cloudy to cloudy skies with a 30% chance of showers, and temperatures will be in the upper 80s today and will dip to the mid-70s tonight. Your winds will be southeast at 10 to 15 knots, and seas will be slight to moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet. We're presently at a high tide, and the next low tide will be this afternoon at 2:23, and a high tide again tonight at 6 minutes past 9. The sun will set this evening at 6:54 and will rise tomorrow morning at 5:49. And the outlook is calling for similar weather conditions through Friday morning.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Good morning once again. Let's take a look at what's happening on our roads. Traffic flowing moderately on Godfrey Nixon Way and Eastern Avenue. Light to moderate traffic flow coming from the West Bay four-way stop. In and out of Georgetown on Shedden Road looking pretty good as traffic is moving nicely. Pretty good traffic flow coming off of Bobby Thompson Way, but nothing to worry about too much. And as we look to the east on Shamrock Road and the Linford Pearson Highway, traffic is flowing moderately. Steady but flowing traffic on Crew Road, and a moderate flow of traffic on Northsound Road, and light traffic on Owen Roberts Drive. That's the very latest on your traffic. Drive safe, Cayman Islands. Remember, safety is no accident.
Subway is helping to keep Cayman safe by limiting store openings and hours, offering curbside pickup and delivery right to your door. With 3 locations currently open to serve you: Anderson Square in Georgetown, Centennial Towers in West Bay, and Countryside Shopping Village in Savannah. Subway is open from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. on soft curfew days. Free delivery for orders with a minimum $20 purchase. Delivery times only from 10 a.m. until 3 p.m. Subway, helping you to enjoy your favorite foods in the safest way possible.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
You know, when we look back at our teens, quite often we come to appreciate our parents' efforts to keep us safe. What was restrictive then becomes sound reasoning as an adult. The current curfews are much the same. Temporary restrictions for our community with your long-term health and welfare in mind. We will mature through these challenging times and emerge stronger. Stay responsible now so that our future can be bright. Hashtag Stay Home Cayman.
Your Radio Cayman 6 p.m. news, Monday through Friday, is brought to you by Logic. Your life connected.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Emily, Mr. Ezard Miller, and I just want to remind you this morning that Mr. Miller will be attending the Legislative Assembly later on this morning, but we'll try to keep him here as long as we possibly can. One of our listeners wrote in about Miss Olive Miller and says, it reads, Mrs. Miller was the Cayman Islands' first government information officer and was responsible for saving so many of the files from the fire which destroyed the first government house. Spending days rescuing them from garbage piles and drying them out as well. The person says, I met Mrs. Olive Miller for the first time when she came to Cayman in 1948. It has been a friendship of a lifetime, as well. So I want to thank that. We have a caller. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Okay, and good morning to MLA, Mr. Ezra Miller.
Morning, sir.
Yes, concerning allowing construction to start after finding these 17 positive and allowing the buses workers to pick up passengers. Is the Premier still going to allow this to go ahead?
I'm sorry, I was distracted. What was your question? What would you want to go where? My apologies.
Okay.
Can you repeat the question?
Yes, the Premier, we just found out we have 17 more positives.
Right.
2 in Cayman, right?
Yes.
And I remember when we first started off with the lockdown, we had 6 positives.
Yes.
Throughout the 3 islands. 1 in Cayman, right? And we had a lockdown. Now that we have 17 and 2 in Cayman, right? And 17 has turned out to be the most so far to be tested positive at one time. Why is the Premier still allowing construction workers and omnibuses to get back to work if we now have more positives now than we've ever had before in a test?
Well, I think there's a couple of reasons there. First reason being we have done a lot more testing now when we got those 17 than we've done in the past.
And that was over a period of time.
Right,
as well,
that was like a 4-day, 5-day report, okay? Where before we were getting daily reports and it was based on a couple of tests, less than 20 oftentimes. Mm-hmm. Secondly, in terms of opening up the economy and particularly the construction industry and the omnibuses, there are strict rules legislated in law under which those industries are being allowed to partially reopen because they're not completely open, right? And if those rules are observed, there should not be massive transmission, even if it exists amongst individual workers. And most of them will be tested.
Mm-hmm. So, and it comes as no surprise. We knew that once the testing increased, that the numbers would go up as well, either asymptomatic or otherwise. What is also important to note is that the visits and the reports at the flu clinic have not increased as well. They have gone down, and those persons who are actually going in with symptoms is decreased as well. Now, what is important? What is going to be important is that when people feel that they have a symptom, they need to ensure that they report it, that they go and see their doctor, or otherwise do not keep it secret, do not keep it to themselves, because they're only hindering the process and possibly exposing other persons to the virus as well. So that is extremely important. Okay, we have go ahead, sir.
Yeah, people going to the beach and people going fishing, as it now is.
Mm-hmm.
I think that can continue.
Mm-hmm.
But having more positives now than we've ever had before, we had a lockdown before, which was helping a lot, I believe, and to now allow people to go back to work, even if it's construction workers or omnibus drivers. And hopefully those omnibus drivers will abide by the law and take half a load, because some of them are greedy. Anyway, I don't agree with the government opening up people for people to be allowed to go back to work when we have more positives now than we've ever had before. It makes no sense to me.
But sorry, excuse me, not to interrupt you, but the lockdown has not been lifted. You're still required to stay home unless you have special permission to go on a construction site, etc., etc.
Yeah, it's been phased.
The lockdown is still in force.
Yes, Mr. Miller, I understand that. But construction workers and the bus drivers should not be allowed to go back to work.
Well, that's your opinion. That is your opinion. I respect that, but I don't disagree with it. Under the conditions under which you're being allowed to do so.
Mr. Miller, if we had it that nobody could go to construction, nobody was allowed to operate on when we had 6 positives. Now we have 17, and they're now allowing these people to go back to work. It makes no sense, Mr. Miller. You can say whatever you want to say.
Well, and you can say whatever you want to say. In your opinion, not going to change mine because you're ignoring one factor, and that's the percentage of people tested. The percentage of people tested who were positive was higher when you only had 6 than it is now.
So caller, in your opinion, then, when should construction workers be allowed to go back to work? When should omnibus drivers be allowed to take passengers? When should other offices open up? In your opinion, when should that occur?
When we take tests and the percentage goes down.
But the percentage has gone down in terms of testing. I read that before, 1.44% as opposed to 2.5 something percent. The percentages have gone down.
Okay, let me ask you a question now. Those 17 positives, if studies have shown that majority of the time, one person can actually give it to 3 more people. So if 17 people have it now, how many more people do you think out there have it that don't even know?
That's what the testing is going to tell us.
And the tracing.
The contact tracing and the testing, that's going to tell us. And if you were to see the percentages go up like you say they go up, then the government would have to take some corrective action in that regard.
Several of these people now are a result of that tracing of other people who had came in contact and who had been positive.
Yes.
So how do you know that those people out there that have it that don't know aren't going on the buses to get to construction, to get to work?
So how do you know that they're not in the supermarket with you when you go on your alphabet day?
There are more people in the supermarket than on a construction site or on the bus.
Mr. Miller and Mr. Orrett Connor, getting on the bus is a lot different than going in a supermarket. Now, don't try to act like an idiot now.
Listen now, we've been very patient with you. We disagree with you, but we're hearing you out. You have to learn to control yourself when people disagree with you, that you don't start to attack them. Careful. Let's go to the next caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. O.C.
Good morning, ma'am. How are you?
Very thankful and highly blessed and watching everything.
There you go.
Good morning, Mr. Miller.
Good morning, my dear. How are you?
Oh, I'm blessed. And
good to hear from you.
It's good to hear you, too. First of all, Mr. Miller, my condolences to all the Millers. Hello?
I got you.
To all the Millers and to all those that lost family members during months and months and months. Mr. Miller and Mr. O.C., I am one of those that lost my mother.
Our condolences and condolences
to you.
Pardon?
So our sincere condolences go out to you again and to you and your family again, ma'am.
I lost I never call mommy or nothing like that. We all call mama. That she passed away. She passed away at 91 years, 2 months, 2 weeks, and 1 day on the 23rd of April at 4:53 a.m. Okay?
Okay, Mom. Sorry to hear that. God bless you.
Yeah, but yes. But listen, she was a hard worker too. So we strong people, you know.
Oh, I know that.
Yeah, so listen good now. Let's get to Mrs. Olive Miller.
Yes, Mom.
Mr. Miller and Mr. O.C. From I heard it this morning about Miss Olive Miller, I said, oh, I hope they give her a state funeral You hear me now, though?
Yes.
A state funeral, and about the programs, government should take that in their hands and do hundreds of the programs so people could get them. And about a dancing, Mr. Miller, I had the opportunity in 2017 at the lunch. No, I got started this year. Yeah, 2017 at the luncheon at the Rotary luncheon. I was the first with a male partner to go out there and dance, open the dancing. And I was also there for the.
I bet you that was one of them let them shake a leg calypsos of a ring you were doing though.
Let me tell you something. I got prize for everything.
There you go.
And so at the end, they were going to judge again for the best dancer then too. But now, okay, me and my male partner at the table, and there was a lady now that said, okay, I could join on, but I said I can get a partner too. And you know who her partner was? Miss Olive Miller.
Oh, yeah.
And baby, she had every step going.
Oh, yeah.
She couldn't see her ears is good.
She and Olive enjoyed dancing. She enjoyed it.
And we look at we were holding hands.
Yeah.
The four of us, and we were into every step.
Good.
And then, okay, back to the 2017. 2014, she had, at the luncheon too, she had some of her little books. And for sale, and I bought one of them.
There you go.
Okay, so I got things of her.
Yep.
And I'm going to repeat it now. I hope that the government gives her a state funeral and they take charge of all of the programs, being hundreds made of them. Okay?
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, caller, for that. Thank you very much. Any other calls? Ms. Susan? No other calls? Mr. Miller, I know you want to talk about the unaudited financial reports issued by the government. We have about 4 minutes before we go to the next commercial break, so we can at least introduce the topic.
The government, as is required by law, has published in the Gazette and circulated was published in the Gazette the first quarter statistics, financial position of the Cayman Islands, and it is quite good. But I don't think we should be satisfied with that, or we should take too much comfort, because a lot of government revenue comes in the first 3 months. What I'm hoping now, and I'm asking the government to do, and I had intended to do this at the LA today, but the way the LA is being operated now is so dysfunctional and inappropriate that I would probably be a waste of my time to even try to do it. But I would encourage the government now to make those financials more readily available to the public. I think we need to start giving the public some comfort in the government's financial position, and we're starting from a good place. Let's be frank about that. The first quarter was really good, but remember now that we've had lots of expenses in April, in May, and income would start to begin to diminish. So what I would like to see the government do now is to publish the figures in the local newspaper and on social media through the government website, income and expenditure. We don't need to get into all of the other stuff, servicing of loans and financing debt and all that kind of stuff. What the people need to see is what was the expenditure for April, what was the income, given that we had a surplus in the first quarter, and how it is trending. And I would like to see that done for the end of April, May, June, and July, so the public can track what's going on.
Would in comparison to previous year help as well?
I think it would be good to have at least the last year. And again, there's some people who were trying to make mischief about the fact that they were unaudited, but they are unaudited. But that doesn't mean they're inaccurate.
Right.
And remember now that even when it comes to audited accounts, we're also in a very good place with that. In 2019, we managed to, every unit in government submitted their accounts for auditing purposes on time within the statutory thing. And in spite of the COVID virus shutdown, the Office of the Auditor General has managed to audit most of them. And I think the last numbers I got was at the end of April, we had some 28 companies that had been completely audited, and all of them had got unqualified opinions. And there's a suspicion or an expectation that the balance of I think there's 42 or 44 41 or 42 total entities in government, that the majority of them will get clean accounts, unqualified accounts. So we are in a good place in terms of the last couple of years to knowing that there is some confidence, a high, very, very high degree, probably the highest degree of any government anywhere in the world in terms of its financials. On two reasons. One, on the timeliness of it, because most countries are years and years behind. I mean, when we go to these public account conferences and stuff, I mean, we're almost out in front of everybody else in that we're so up to date and are getting such good results. So there's a lot of confidence that can be placed in the numbers that the government are putting out, even though they are not audited. And it wouldn't be possible to audit them before we publish them on that kind of basis. But I think income and expenditure figures for 2019 as a comparison would be good. And one of the things that, I'm always a proponent of participatory democracy. And I think part of bringing the country along and its people and continuing to get their support for all of the things we need to do on this COVID virus pandemic and crisis that we're in is trusting them with information and giving them as much information that we have. And
letting them understand in the same way that we're teaching them about COVID-19 and the protocols to be followed, hand washing and all of the other things. We can let them know a little bit about finances as well, government, because then it puts them in a position when the government justifiably has to do certain things. They're in a better position to understand why the government is doing it.
Yeah, one of the standard requests from everybody is must cut civil servants' pay. But politicians first and then civil servants. Yeah. I have never been a supporter of that. I think that's the last thing we should be doing. The last two times we have cut civil servants' pay and politicians' pay have not affected the crisis. Right. We've had to make other adjustments, and all we have done is brought hardship to civil servants, and I don't support that. Yes. There are many, many things. One of the things that we should be doing as a government, and all members of the Legislative Assembly, not just the Cabinet and their caucus, should be involved now in a restructuring of the government capital budget in particular, so that we keep the money for helping our people in social causes and keeping the country going, as opposed to doing road works and all this kind of stuff. Right.
Expanding the infrastructure, we need to invest more in people, definitely.
Did Shedden Road really need to be resurfaced right now? Got a couple of, got several $100,000 right there.
Okay, folks, please stay tuned for the record with MLA Mr. Ezra Miller. We'll be back shortly.
Fidelity Bank would like to thank all essential workers. We salute your efforts and thank you for the sacrifices you've made to keep us all safe. During these challenging times we're facing, our top priority is the health and safety of the communities we serve. And while it's true that things are changing rapidly every day, one thing that will never change is our commitment to giving you the best and sound financial solutions to help you during and after the coronavirus pandemic. At Fidelity Bank, our focus will always be you. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Recent worldwide events bring into focus the need for quality health care. Your life is meaningful. Your health is no laughing matter. Cayman Pharmacy Group strives to make your health their concern. Recognizing the complexities of pharmaceuticals and the need to personalize your care with one-on-one counseling. West Bay Pharmacy, Savannah Pharmacy, and CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy. Convenient quality care is just around the corner. Visit CaymanPharmacy.com for more information. Cayman Pharmacy Group, taking care of your health.
Insurance is complicated. Make your life easier and better protected with comprehensive financial solutions from FIS Insurance Brokers, with plans from life, health, property insurance, motor, public liability, and professional liability insurance. Whether you're protecting your family or your business, leave nothing to chance. Understand your options and protect yourself for the future. Speak to your FIS Insurance Broker agent today, located on Shedden Road by MoneyGram, or call 623-5616.
We all know there's nothing more refreshing than the taste of an ice-cold Coca-Cola straight from the cooler.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling.
Whether celebrating a birthday, promotion, or just a great meal, make each moment a Coca-Cola moment. Available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Make sure you ask for the unforgettable flavor of a classic Coca-Cola.
Has being quarantined at home have you looking at your living space differently? Well, Tomlinson Furniture is now offering free island-wide deliveries and phone consultations to help you design a comfortable living space. For inspiration and ideas, browse the Tomlinson Furniture and Mattress Gallery Facebook page, Tomlinson Furniture Cayman on Instagram, or website at tomlinsonfurniture.ky. Open from 9:30 a.m. for phone consultations and orders. Call 949-5383. Tomlinson Furniture and the Mattress Gallery. Free delivery island-wide.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Back on. Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, MLA, Mr. Ezra Miller. Mr. Miller, you touched on something, and we have seen, and it has to do with the reduction in salaries. Mm-hmm. And I see in Bermuda, where the ministers and members of their parliament have taken, I think it's a 12%, 12.5% salary cut. Now, of course, in Bermuda, the system that they have in place is completely different. They're unionized, including the public service, strong unionized. And if they're going to ask for any sacrifices from the unions, any concessions, they have to show that they're taking the lead in doing so. So they have agreed to take a salary cut. We don't see the need for it here in the Cayman Islands yet because we have not asked any government employee to take a salary cut. Yes, in the private sector, some people are not earning a salary simply because they don't have the ability to work, but the government has been trying to do their part in terms of assisting them in that regard. Any comments?
Well, listen, that is one of the consistent political scams that politicians use when it's a feel-good decision, right? You feel good because, I reduced my salary, so I'm making my contribution. Do your work, solve the problems, figure out the crisis. You really think that 12.5% of the senator's salary in Bermuda is going to make any significant impact on their terrible financial position they're in?
It's symbolic.
But it sounds good.
Yes.
So, and the public likes to jump on that. Well, we need to cut politicians' pay, right? Because, and the politicians agree with it because we were acquiescing to demands of our public, and it sounds good, it feels good, everybody wins. But a 12.5% of the salary of the 19 of us, right, ain't gonna buy lunch with too many people in Cayman, right? I don't support that kind of political entrapment, is what I call it, right, of the public. I think that is why we were talking earlier about publishing the accounts. And I think that, and I'm calling for a finance committee to look at government's capital budget. I for one, would be willing, under the circumstances. We're supposed to be spending $1 million on the worst piece of road in the Cayman Islands, which is from Rumpoint Junction to Caibo, right? I'm prepared to put that off in this crisis. They're supposed to be spending $1.2 million to put groins around Caibo Beach to stop that from washing away. I'm prepared to put that off. I did not agree with what they're doing to start with, right? Because I think my solution of putting concrete bricks around it would be much cheaper. And if it doesn't work, we'd only have invested about $300,000 in total, right? The other roadworks in the island that can be put off, the other capital projects that can be put off. Why are we going so determined on the airport, continue that project, when we know that we're not going to be using it again for several months, right? So we would have time to see what the trajectory is in terms of government revenue and how much the domestic economy, because it is domestic economy now that's going to have to fund government.
Exactly, yes.
Right?
Yes,
Not that we don't get anything from the tourist sector. Of course, if you look at the charts and stuff that government put, what the government gets out of the tourism sector is not that much anyway, other than consumption and import duty. Right? But in terms of direct revenue to government on the 10% charge on overnight stay and stuff like that, is not that big. But this is why I want to see the government accounts on a monthly basis so that me and the public can make informed decisions. But the idea of coming out and declaring, the last 2 times that was done, you remember the first time we did it a couple of years ago, we had scholarships were supposed to be set up with the money that they were giving up and all this kind of stuff, right? It didn't have any effect. And the last time, all we did was punish civil servants. And invariably, when we do this, it is the very people who need our help that we're hurting, which are the people making less than $2,500 in the civil service per month, right? And you know that I said that I didn't believe in giving people cash outright from their pension plans. What I wanted was a system put in place that allowed all, including private sector employees, and particularly private sector employers, to continue to pay their staff. Right? Because that's what we need. We need to make sure people are getting their income. And I really think the government, we should sit down as a country and have a broadcast public discussion on government finances, on finance committee, and make certain decisions that we're going to put off certain projects. You know?
Okay. One of our listeners, and this is up your alley, Mr. Miller, says, good morning. My question is, do you have any idea if there will be any flights to Cuba anytime soon, or will the borders be open by August? Thanks for the great work the government of the Cayman Islands has done and continues to do. Well, we don't know of any, we haven't had any repatriation flights to Cuba.
No, I think most people that wanted to go left on the last scheduled flight. But the Cuban is closed too.
Closed,
so,
exactly, yeah.
And I haven't heard about them opening up anything yet to tourism. So I think that in the flights to Cuba are months away, 3-4 months away.
Yep, definitely. Okay, want to go back to the press briefing and. Let's go back to the testing for construction workers as well, and the need. Do we want to ensure that they're self-regulating, self-monitoring, or should government have inspectors going on these job sites to ensure that as much as possible the protocols that they have put in place are being followed?
I think that we need inspectorates. And again, we have a Department of Environmental Health. No construction site should have been allowed to open today unless DEH had certified a couple of things. They had proper sanitary conveniences. They had readily available hand washing, that the employer had guaranteed DEH that they're going to supply masks, if they don't already have it, for all the workers on site, and that they have made as extensive preparations of the site as possible in terms of maintaining social distances. Now, you and I, who we grew up around construction, know that oftentimes 2 people can work together, but it don't mean 10 people can work together. I mean, 2 people can be working on this door here, but we don't need to be working on the same door next door with another 2 people, right? They should have a plan based on the site, which allows for social distancing as much as possible, and and the government should be doing impromptu, unplanned, or unannounced inspections of those sites just to make sure that they're compliant. I don't think this is a case where you can rely on people to do the right thing. And again, we don't. The Department of Environmental might not have sufficient people here. We have people who are in planning department, who do inspections all the time. We have other people in government, other government agencies that do inspections and do for liquor licensing and all this kind of stuff. So those are should be, but I think that it should be managed by government, and there should be a procedure. that you have to go through to get certification to open, not just by submitting a name and these people are approved. And thirdly, there should be unannounced inspections on all of these sites to make sure that compliance is being maintained.
And we have people within the fire service as well.
Exactly, and there should be no second chances. I mean, if the inspector comes on your construction site and you don't have proper hand washing facilities, right, and you're not practicing social distance as per plan that you put forward, you close them down. Be talking about people's lives here, right?
Okay. We're going to take a commercial break. When we return, we want to talk a little bit more about one of the callers in relation to the bus and the construction sites, and we want to talk about a person's individual attitude towards social, physical distance and all of those other things as well. So, if the person beside you isn't practicing it, you're going to ensure that you tell them, and you're going to ensure that you keep your distance as well. So, we want to talk a little bit more about that also. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
I have various items coming from different suppliers that I need to ship to Cayman. Do you offer consolidation?
Yes, Seaboard Marine offers consolidation for full and less than container loads. We can hold your packages at our Miami warehouse until everything arrives and ship it all in one go. And we have the best rates to Grand Cayman. Visit seaboardmarine.com for more information.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
Honey, our fridge has stopped working again. Everything in the freezer is melting. We need to get this repaired right away. I'm calling Brand Source Service.
When you need the very best appliance service, call Brand Source Service at 623-5000. Offering service and installation of all brands and models of appliances. Brand Source Service is Cayman's source for appliance parts and repairs, with qualified and experienced technicians and the island's largest stock of appliance parts. Brand Source Service will have your repair completed in a flash. So, whatever the problem is, call the experts at 623-5000. Brand Source Service, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park. Telephone 623-5000.
Recent worldwide events bring into focus the need for quality health care. Your life is meaningful. Your health is no laughing matter. Cayman Pharmacy Group strives to make your health their concern. Recognizing the complexities of pharmaceuticals and the need to personalize your care with one-on-one counseling, West Bay Pharmacy, Savannah Pharmacy, and CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy. Convenient quality care is just around the corner. Visit CaymanPharmacy.com for more information. Cayman Pharmacy Group, taking care of your health.
Home, which should be a haven, can even be less of a safe space during curfew if someone is experiencing child abuse. If you or anyone you know is being abused, help is nearby. For emergencies, call 911. They will redirect your call to the relevant agencies. For general guidelines and inquiries, call the Multi-Agency Safeguarding Hub, MASH, at 1-800-534-2273 or 945-0545. Alternatively, email mash@gov.ky.
The public is reminded that beach access will be allowed using the last name protocols strictly for exercise, including swimming. The hours for exercise have been extended to 2 hours each day between 5:15 a.m. to 7 p.m. daily. Shoreline fishing and fishing by boat are allowed, but limited to 2 persons per boat. Strata pools can be used for swimming, and tennis courts can also be used, but are limited to members of a single household or a maximum of 2 persons with social distancing maintained. Also, public buses can operate. However, seating must be staged in such a way that each passenger is able to distance as far as possible from the other passengers and driver. All residents must wear face masks or other face coverings while taking public transportation, inside buildings or other public places. For more information and to view the new regulations in full, go to www.gov.ky/coronavirus.
For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the Record with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Emily, Mr. Ezra Miller. Mr. Miller, so we're seeing so much public awareness in relation to the protocols that have been put in place, all of the health warnings and stuff like that. And I would venture to say that at the stage that we're at now, that 90% of the population not only aware, but are ensuring that they practice all of the physical distancing, the sanitizing protocols, everything that is put in place. And there are people who, on their jobs, if they find that there's not enough physical distancing, they're bringing it to the attention of their bosses. They're asking to be relocated somewhere else because everyone is concerned about their health. So in addition to the policing measures that the government has put in place, individuals are going to do the same thing as well. And we hope and we trust that they do it in a socially acceptable way and not do it in a confrontational manner, to their fellow traveler or the individual who's next to them in the supermarket or somewhere else.
The old saying is you catch more flies with honey than vinegar, works all the time. Uh-huh. But I think that you're right, and each of us has to accept a certain responsibility to protect our own health. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Somebody's not obeying the rules, bring it to their attention. And ask that they comply, So I think that it's. But I agree with you that I believe that the majority of Caymanians have accepted that there are certain protocols that we should be following. They understand that those protocols are for their protection and the protection of their loved ones, and they have willingly sacrificed the so-called freedoms of a movement that some people are complaining about, Mm-hmm. And I think that in the workplaces, we every time I've visited the supermarkets, etc., it looks like the people are practicing the social distancing in line, they may be at 4 feet instead of actually 6 feet, the distance of the cart, but it's out there, and we need to make sure that the 6 feet is what is being done and not 3 feet, mm-hmm. because it is important.
Yep. This person has written in and said, good morning, Mr. O.C. and Mr. Miller. I totally agree with you, Mr. Miller. There is a young lady who has cancer. And from the time that COVID-19 began, she hasn't been paid, and she doesn't want to come forward, all because she's afraid of being fired. I guess that has to do with the social distancing. And
that's something that I think the Labour Minister, while I respect the panel that has been handling the press conferences, I think that we're getting to the stage now where the absence of the minister responsible for Labour, although the Premier I think he's responsible for Labour as well, right? But at the Minister of Finance, that is of government finances, not of financial services, needs to be more involved in public discourse, either whether it's a separate conference. But there are things, I'm dealing with one case now in my constituencies where a person who was working for an institution and was there when there was infection there, and was one of the people who was cleaning the area of where the infection was, and because of she was institution, she was off for a period. When she was due to go back to work, she was not yet emotionally ready, and she says she informed them, and they didn't tell her no. They didn't answer her, so she assumed, just like when the other thing was okay. When she showed up to work on the first day, told her she was fired.
Wow.
But the more concerning thing about that was that nobody reached out to her. Her employer didn't reach out to her during that period of time. I have spoken by WhatsApp to the institution, and I was supposed to call them yesterday, but because of what happened later in the evening, I just wasn't in the frame of mind to do it. So I can try to reach out to them today to find out what their investigation has brought forward. But I think the government and the Department of Labor needs to be mindful that there are inconsistencies in the private sector that are not following government's example and need to be looked into. The fact that we amended the labor law recently to allow them 90 days without having to pay out severance pay and all that, I think was far too judicious given their track record in compliance with the labor law. But I didn't go against it because I understood, But again, the Labor Department needs to encourage people to come forward, like that case, on a anonymous way, right? Where they can be interviewed to see what their concerns are confidentially. They would raise it in a more broader sense, a more holistic sense with that particular employer, right? Or with a number of employers, because the Labor Department can make public statements which can offer that person the protection that they need and solve their problem without having to identify the person.
Exactly, yes.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
As opposed to going into their employer specifically and saying, Joe Blow, you're not doing this. That's not going to help in this situation, because that kind of victimization is what it is, or constructive dismissal by people in the private sector is rampant in this society, and the fear for employees in this country is not only confined to politicians and repercussions from them.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. There's much more of it going on in the private sector. And again, we seem to always, the government consistently seems to shy away from it. We don't want to take them on. It's time to take them on now.
Okay.
Because the government finances cannot carry this burden alone. All of those people who have made their tremendous profits in this country over the last 5 to 10 years need to develop a little come to Jesus movement and have some social conscience and try to start looking after their employees so that they can continue to live and survive and be in a physical condition to work for them when they go open again.
Exactly. We've been advised by the Protocol Office that in observance of Mrs. Olive Miller's passing, the Honorable Premier has requested that the Cayman flags on all government buildings are to fly at half-mast today. So that has
on
been
behalf
done
of the
then.
family, I'd like the public to thank the Premier for that.
Okay. We have a few minutes to have a... this one, Mr. Miller, up your alley again. This person says, I hear all about washing hands, etc. What about nutrition? C, D, B, zinc, etc. Those vitamins.
Well, listen, I'm a supplement nut. There was a research done some years ago that you remember. I don't know the younger people, but you remember Popeye?
Yes,
and his
yes.
can of spinach.
Right?
And he could eat a can of spinach and pick up the container. Well, for Popeye to get the same amount of nutrients out of the spinach that we get at the supermarket today, that he got out of that one can, he'd had to eat a 40-foot container full. So I've always believed in supplements. The cure for cardiovascular disease was discovered in 1932 by a Canadian physician. It's vitamin C. I've been taking for the last 15, 20 years, 5,000 milligrams of vitamin C every morning. Vitamin C has certain antiviral properties. It is not something that you should do in lieu of taking all of the other social precautions of iron mass, etc. But certainly you should be taking supplements to increase your vitamin C. Vitamin D, if you go out in the sun, you will get enough of that, but you should also be taking your B complexes and a good multivitamin. I think most people should be taking right now.
Okay. We have about a minute before we go to the headline news at the top of the hour. When we return, we want to talk about the repatriation process. Government's success in getting those Caymanians back to the Cayman Islands who wanted to come back home. One of the positives that we had in that regard is that unlike many other countries, we had people who were away either studying or decided to relocate in other jurisdictions, whereas other countries, they had their nationals on board cruise ships working in other countries. We are a country here, we import labor as opposed to exporting it, so we didn't have that challenge in terms of bringing laborers back. What we will have to confront, though, is as the economy starts to gradually open up, is that possible influx of persons coming back in, and how do we go about controlling that as well?
I have a very simple easy solution to that. Nobody allowed in.
So we're going to take a break for headline news. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
You are listening to Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
It's only 2 species that we have here on the island.
Generations present.
Your voice, your choice.
For today's biggest news.
Access.
Local, regional, international, this is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom team.
Today's biggest news.
A small fire at the Georgetown landfill this morning has been brought under control by teams from the Fire Service and Department of Environmental Health. Crews are working to excavate and damp down the site. Their aim is to fully extinguish the fire and minimize risk of reignition. More information will be shared as available, so make sure to keep it locked. The number of people in Brazil who have died with COVID-19 jumps by 1,179, a daily record. President Bolsonaro has downplayed the risk, even though Brazil has the world's 3rd highest number of infections. In the United Kingdom, ministers face pressure to reconsider plans to reopen English primary schools to some pupils from June 1st. The World Bank has warned 60 million more people could be pushed into, quote, extreme poverty. There have been 4.9 million confirmed cases worldwide, with almost 325,000 deaths. Those are your headlines. I'm Karsley Fuller.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me this morning, MLA Mr. Ezra Miller. So, Mr. Miller, looking forward, if we continue to have the success that we're having in controlling the COVID-19, we're in the hunting phase now. We're hunting the virus down. We're going out there, contact tracing, looking for where it is. We have increased the testing, the number of tests that are being done. We've widened the demographics in terms of who's being tested and everything. Eventually, we see questions coming in now about persons' ability to take up employment in the Cayman Islands, employment that has been offered to them, and hopefully the employment opportunity, if it is still there. If the school year starts again in September, we're going to have not only the government wanting to bring teachers in, but the private sector as well. Mm-hmm. So despite the protocols that we have in place now for the situation that we find ourselves in now, we have to start looking forward to what is going to be done later on. Those are serious policy decisions that have to be made. First of all, do you believe that members of the Legislative Assembly need to be involved in that process, because it is one of national significance?
Oh, absolutely. And this is where this again would be part of that finance committee, looking at the economy and how we do. I think there's some caveats we can carve out. If you had a job offer in the tourism industry, no need to come. That's closed. And you got open till November, December, January, February next year, okay? Some of the other industries, we can identify industries like that, right? If you were even employed in a business that supported stay-home tourists, you don't need to come. If you're currently on a work permit in industry that deals with that kind of tourism, you shouldn't get your work permit renewed, right? I have had reason to believe, and the EIU is reported to me, that some of these companies, where, for instance, you had a cadre of salespeople that dealt with the hotels and the bars and the restaurants in terms of selling them stuff, right? And you had another cadre that dealt with the local market, the mom and pop retail package outlet, etc., etc. Those who were dealing with the tourism industries, right, should not get their work permits renewed. That is an opportunity now for the Caymanians who were there. What little of that is going to exist with the limited opening of the restaurants can be dealt with by those who dealt with the local economy, right? I understand that some people in that industry are actually applying to get those work permits renewed, and they're using them basically now as delivery people, right, for that domestic market, although they're still paying on the high salaries. Those are the kind of things that I think we need to discuss openly. I think this should be done in an open finance committee that is broadcast to the public, because it is important that our people believe that the government is making sure that they benefit from the sacrifices we have made to contain this virus. Everybody talks about, well, we need to press the reset button. We don't press no reset. Reset going back to where we were, right? I think it was Dr. Steve McFeel who called you up one day and said, I don't want to go back to the old normal because people are losing their houses, Caymans are being married, etc. We need to correct all of that now. No reset button. But in the government discussing this in a finance committee forum, we would have the opportunity to air all these things to the public. And the government would have an opportunity to make some adjustments to its policies, not just based on, because you see, what happens now is that the people who want those things done make representation to the government, right? People who don't want those things done have no opportunity to oppose that representation. Yes. So that representation becomes what old people used to call by belief, gospel. So it happens. Every change to the Caymanian Protection Law has been promoted by other people other than Caymanians and has been to the detriment of Caymanians, right? So we need to have this public discussion with all members of the LA broadcast so that the public can get a grasp of what we are doing. Some of these Caymanians who are in the tourism industry can work in the construction industry, right? Because a lot of us have that in our blood, so to speak. We're West Indian, you know. That's the kind of adjustments we need to make to government policy, and we just need to tell these people, don't inundate the works department now with work permit applications for people who are working in the tourism industry, because we're not dealing with it, right? But we need the finance committee, in my view, so that we can have a rational discussion and people can hear what people like me, my concerns are, hear what the government rationale for not meeting those concerns, and how the government intends to make Caymanians benefit from the sacrifices they've made.
Okay, one of our listeners has written in and said, the Premier said that Caymanian employment is tied to the issuing of work permits. Less work permits lead to less Caymanian employment opportunities. More work permits lead to more Caymanian employment opportunities. Please ask Mr. Miller if, in view of this, there needs to be fundamental changes in the development model that Cayman is presently following. And I think that's very observant of that listener, because when we talked about the increase in work permits being issued, the argument being used was that there's a correlation between the number of work permits issued and the number of Caymanians being employed. More work permits being issued, more Caymanians being employed. Will that hold true in this situation?
That's not new from the Premier. That's been his mantra for a number of years. I happen to disagree fundamentally with that position. My position is that every job in the Cayman Islands that's created in Cayman Islands belongs to a Caymanian. Now, you might argue that if you're talking there about only issuing permits to investors, right, who are going to create jobs, but when you take away the creation of the jobs, right, from that equation, it's oxymoronic, to say that every work permit you issue to a construction worker creates a job for a Caymanian. That just doesn't happen. If we're doing it for support staff in the financial industry, you're keeping Caymanians out of work, right? If you do it for even up to managerial level, right? That's a Caymanian, but we're not in the 60s and 70s in Cayman anymore. We have Caymanians now who are capable, who have demonstrated their capability to lead in all of these organizations at the highest level, but not being given the opportunity because we're given permits and then we're given status. So we're putting Caymanians at the top by converting foreigners on work permits to Caymanians, instead of promoting Caymanians up through the system. Now that blocks Caymanians from upward mobility and particularly from ownership, which is what we need to promote. Because you and I are young enough to remember when Caymanians owned everything, It might be less than what we have today, financial-wise, right? But in terms of the broader economy, right? The engines of the economy were owned by Caymanians. And people came to work for them, right? To grow the economy. In the last 20, 25 years, we've gotten away from that model, and we're importing people now and giving them incentives to set up businesses, right? And hire their own friends. Because the first thing they tell you is, well, Caymanians not got the expertise, right? When you talk to Caymanians who've been in the industry and who work in the industry, will tell you, I worked in the industry for 6 years. I can tell you that many of the people that they report, that they import, supposed to be qualified, yes, they have qualifications on a piece of paper, right? But you tell me people coming from Midwestern Canada know about mutual funds and the kind of financial promotions that we do in the Cayman Islands? No, they have a good piece of paper, they have a good track record in doing accounting and auditing for oil companies and businesses, etc., right? But they don't have any financial industry. But we bring them here and we promote them up through the odds and keep Caymanians up. So I believe that this is an opportunity that we had after Ivan that we missed, in my view, where we're not talking about pressing the reset button and going back to the old normal. We need to create a new normal that promotes ownership of Caymanians in this business, upward mobility for Caymanians in the industries, to increase local wealth of Caymanians. That's what that should be the number one priority of any of this restructuring.
And if there is one person has pointed out that if there is a silver lining, in relation to the COVID-19 situation, it is one that gives us an opportunity to reorganize here in the Cayman Islands. We know who have left. We know who is still here. The work permit holders have left either because they either didn't feel safe or they had no job, no work. When the work situation improves, all avenues should be explored and all resources should be exhausted to ensure that those who are here, and in particular Caymanians, are employed first before we open up to anything else. Now, when we were off air, you had some views in relation to the restarting of our tourism industry and where we should be going first with that. You want to share that? Yeah, I just want to
add one thing that I think I would give.
Sure.
Now, Caymanians need to step up too, right? You shouldn't just go on a construction site now and lay down on the job, right? You go on, you have to work, you have to earn it. That's what mine and your parents did. Internationally, anywhere we went, that's what we did. We went to sea, we became the best seamen in the world. We had the best construction people in the world, right? And every time we brought in all these other people, we've reduced the quality of the local construction industry, right? One of the other things, getting back to the test before I forget it, because both of you and I are young enough to forget it. One of the things that we need to do right now is I'm asking the government to make sure that we test, as a matter of urgency, all home care workers and all caregivers who are looking after elderly. They should be on the next priority list once they've announced they've finished the medical thing. We need to make sure that all of those are doing, and a good place to start with that would be the statistics from the Immigration Department. They should be able to say who has home care workers and should be able to give the HSA a list of names of caregivers who should be tested as a matter of priority, in my view, right? Now, what I was talking about in terms of earlier off mic was that I think we need to look to in restructuring or trying to get our tourism jump started, is we need to look to attracting wealthy people who have their own private jets, etc., who can fly in and who can bring their friends on their jets, and maybe attracting back the people who own the multi-million-dollar condos on 7 Mile Beach, so that they can assist with the local economy, and i.e. consumption, etc., and start to grow that section of the industry slowly.
Mm-hmm. You know? Okay, we're going to take a commercial break. We have one caller. We're going to ask that caller to hold on. Mm-hmm. We'll take the break, and as soon as we return, we will take your call. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Fidelity Bank would like to thank all essential workers. We salute your efforts and thank you for the sacrifices you've made to keep us all safe. During these challenging times we're facing, our top priority is the health and safety of the communities we serve. And while it's true that things are changing rapidly every day, one thing that will never change is our commitment to giving you the best and sound financial solutions to help you during and after the coronavirus pandemic. At Fidelity Bank, our focus will always be you. Fidelity, we're good for you.
FIS MoneyGram is pleased to announce their Shedden Road location will be reopening for money transfer services effective Monday, May the 4th. Due to COVID-19 restrictions, MoneyGram on Shedden Road will be open from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday, servicing customers with A through K surnames on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and customers with L through Z surnames on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. To ensure social distancing requirements, customers are required to make an appointment on their days by WhatsApp or texting 928-5130. That's 928-5130. MoneyGram, the safest and most convenient way to send money worldwide.
Oh gosh.
Don't let the stress of taking care of loved ones get you down.
Home care, now made easier with Cayman Medical Supplies. 100% Caymanian owned. Cayman Medical Supplies now stocks a wide range of home care supplies. Hospital beds, all types of wheelchairs, including beach access wheelchairs, lifts, commodes, shower chairs, walkers, Curad brand orthopedic supplies, free blood glucose monitors with the purchase of 1 pack of test strips, blue underpads, and a whole lot more.
Need home care convenience? Drop by Cayman Medical Supplies at 93 Smith Road, Windward Center, or call 949-6211. Free delivery.
Open 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Still delivering island-wide for your convenience. We have in stock blue surgical masks, infrared thermometers, and N95 masks available at retail and for delivery Monday to Saturday.
Are you a Caymanian experiencing unemployment or have recently been laid off? Are you already registered with work but need to know what jobs are available or how to post job ads? Contact Work today. Call 945-9672 or toll free at 1-800-534-9672 or email worc@gov.ky.
The public is reminded that beach access will be allowed using the last name protocols strictly for exercise, including swimming. The hours for exercise have been extended to 2 hours each day between 5:15 a.m. to 7 p.m. daily. Shoreline fishing and fishing by boat are allowed, but limited to 2 persons per boat. Strata pools can be used for swimming, and tennis courts can also be used, but are limited to members of a single household or a maximum of 2 persons with social distancing maintained. Also, public buses can operate. However, seating must be staged in such a way that each passenger is able to distance as far as possible from the other passengers and driver. All residents must wear face masks or other face coverings while taking public transportation, inside buildings or other public places. For more information and to view the new regulations in full, go to www.gov.ky/coronavirus.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, MLA Mr. Ezra Miller. Just want to remind you, at the next commercial break, Mr. Miller will be leaving us. That will be around about 9:30. We have a caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Hello. Good morning, Mr. Miller, and good morning, Mr. Connor.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm just listening to the conversation, and I just carried back one little bit to where we were talking about the opportunities now for Caymanians to get involved in various sectors. One thing I would just like to point out, and I totally agree, I 100% agree with Mr. Miller, that Caymanians now do have to step up to the plate. We have to recognize that we have an opportunity. We need to capitalize on it. We need to put the work in as our forefathers did in order to etch out our place. But one thing I would just like to point out, and I think that it's imperative that Caymanians be totally aware of their surroundings and what's happening. I saw a viewpoint that was written on CNS webpage, just came out last night, I believe, and it's attacking the Caymankind brand, right? And one of the things that I'm most upset about, or a little disappointed, let me rephrase that. What I'm most disappointed about is that we have individuals who come to Cayman, who came here to seek a better living from where they were, and that's been the landscape of Cayman for 6 to 5 years, and we don't have any issues with that. But when a person take a position that they're going to now start to criticize what Caymankind is, the problem is that they're telling us that Caymankind is a myth. The reality is that we need to distinguish between what Caymankind means as opposed to what it really is, because Caymankind could be a broad spectrum of interpretations, or it could be just simple one thing, Cayman brand or Caymankind. Kind mean that we're kind and kind-hearted, or kind could mean the kind of bread you eat. The problem is that I've seen now where we've been attacked, our government has been attacked for taking strong positions to try to safeguard the well-being of the Caymanian people, which is in the minorities of numbers. I can't for the life of me understand why anybody in the working public that has been allowed to come to Cayman, partake in this environment, create a life for themselves better than where they were, could have any energy to write such a lengthy viewpoint. And I advise every Caymanian who have time to have an opportunity to read it and voice their opinion on that page. Because again, we don't understand that there's an uprise, and the uprise isn't Caymanians. The uprise is individuals who have come here and gotten comfortable. And we're not anti-foreigners by any means. Because if Cayman was anti-foreigners, how could we have 130 different nationalities who have been living here harmoniously with Caymanians? So we're not anti-foreigners. Do we have some people who go to the extreme when they say certain things? Absolutely. But we're no different from no other country where individuals voice their opinions based on what their current situations are. And I just want to make sure that, more Caymanians understand that they should never be apologetic for going to reinstitute themselves into environments that they have been gated out of. This COVID-19, regardless of what anybody want to say, has created silver linings. Now the guards are down, the gates are open, and it's our opportunity now to go in, recognize what it was that we didn't recognize in the past, capitalize on it, seize that opportunity, put in the work, and recapture certain things where we can be more involved and be heavier contributors. And to Mr. Miller's point, lastly, is that we need to have a even distribution of certain levels of wealth in this country. We need to have more people that are dependent on themselves as opposed to being dependent on our country. And the reality to that is that we keep talking about jobs and job creations. Cayman don't need any job creations. And the work permit system clearly tells us that we don't need to create jobs. We just need to have people who are willing to step up to the plate, persevere through all of what needs to be persevered through in order to capitalize and be contributors. This is like going back to the first day of tourism. The tourism industry, may I mind my Caymanian people, the hospitality industry is the only thing that we actually really own. Financial industry, we have to keep propped up on stilts. It's not ours. It's something that we provide and we wish to continue to deep into the future. However, the beaches, the sand, the hospitality that we have from our people, all of those things are ours. We own that. We need to capitalize and we need to be the face of that. When a person comes to Cayman to visit and say, where's the local restaurant? We send them to a Jamaican-themed restaurant, calling that local. And no offense to the Jamaican people or their food. We love it. Yeah. But at the end of the day, we have no identity as Cayman and as Caymanians in the hospitality industry. We have no identity of who we are in the tourism industry because We hear it every day. We see it every day. So, Caymanians, I'm begging you, all of you who wanted to get involved, this is the time to get involved. Let's put together a strong team of people so we can work with each other, because what one man can do, 10 can. Mm-hmm. So we need to get together. We need to seize back some of the opportunities that we missed out on because we had this proverbial gate that was blocking us out. Now that gate is gone. It's time for us to capitalize. So I just want to contribute that, and good show this morning, and I'll listen in.
Thank you very much, caller. Thank you very much to
that. I agree with the caller entirely. And you know, one of the things, I'll see that I've said for many years is that the foreigners who are privileged to come to Cayman and enjoy this Cayman miracle, they misinterpret Caymanian kindness, graciousness, acceptability, and accommodation for stupidity, inferiority, softness, and fear. Mm-hmm. They're making a terrible mistake. Yeah. Caymanians are industrious people. We are hardworking people. One of my great disappointments is that we have allowed these people to come here and paint this image of Caymanians as being lazy and good for nothing, right? When they make it rough for Caymanians who come into their employment and they treat them so badly that they want to get rid of him so they can say they gave a Caymanian a job, but he didn't come back to work, he didn't show up. If we didn't have such freedom in work permission, that would be called HR management, to make sure the person came to work, to make sure the person developed, right? And managing your HR resources and developing it, right? And expending, monitoring it. So I agree with that. I haven't seen the viewpoint on CNS, but many of the people who are criticizing this are doing it for their own benefit, and a lot of it is profit driven.
Yeah. Okay. One of our listeners has written in and said, "Good morning. In regards to the topic about employment of Caymanians, first government needs to start with the government administration building. Recently, the look of people entering that building as staff no longer look Caymanian. With that apparent look, it would seem as if Caymanians are slowly fading and are being overtaken by expats and government contracts. Charity begins at home. Start with our own government administration building."
I don't think that's factual.
You can't look at people and determine whether or not they're Caymanian.
If you take out healthcare workers and teachers out of the government employment numbers, the percentage of Caymanians is really, really high compared to everywhere else. It's much greater than anywhere else, and that's the same for the government administration building.
Okay.
And I would say this about the deputy government and Ms. Gloria McField, that I have evidence. I have seen evidence. I have participated in programs that they're developing to promote Caymanians, to train Caymanians, to retool Caymanians, to broaden Caymanians' knowledge through the Civil Service College and all that. And I think all in all, they are doing a great job. There are a few exceptions, like Peter God, who should be gone, but you know.
Okay. This one says, "Good morning. Can a construction worker go ahead and get tested at the health services testing site without being on the employment list?"
If you're a construction worker, you should be able to. I mean, I guess you would need some evidence to show that either you have a job in the construction, your pay slip, or a license at your own company.
Right. Otherwise, your employer would be the one who would be seeking the permission to be able to commence work as well. Okay. Let's see if I have any more here.
Just let me go right ahead. Just let me let the public know what is going on in the LA today. We're going to do 11 laws, and we're probably going to do them in one day, which most of it has to do with changes to the financial industry for the EU initiatives and what the other one for the Caribbean called FACTA or something like that, the Caribbean one. Which is amendments to the Companies Law, amendment to the Limited Liabilities Companies Law, amendment to the Bank and Trust Companies Law, amendment to the Trust Law, amendment to the Monetary Authority Law, amendment to the Security Investment Business Bill, amendment to the Mutual Funds Law, amendment to the Stock Exchange Law, and then we also have one new piece of legislation in the financial industry, which is virtual assets. We're creating a law to cover virtual assets, and then the Attorney General has a amendment to the Criminal Procedure Code, and we're introducing a new law, presumption of death, where you can certify people. I guess the most recent case would have been something like the Anna that disappeared. We need to be able to do that under certain circumstances.
Okay, one more question before you go. It says that good morning. Testing should be done also for domestic helpers and nannies, not only for the caregivers of the elderly. And I think you did mention mention that earlier in the show as well.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It would be good for anybody who's, particularly if that person is not a living person, the nanny or the maid who's coming in. You should, but that is, the employer should take the initiative to get that done, and go over to doctor's hospital and take the person there and get them tested.
Yep.
Okay,
Mr. Miller,
thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here as well. All the best and Ellie.
See you in 2 weeks' time.
Definitely. Take care. All the best to you and your family. And again, express on our behalf here our condolences as well. Folks, we're going to take a commercial break. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly. We will have more open line when we return as well.
We all know there's nothing more refreshing than the taste of an ice-cold Coca-Cola straight from the cooler.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling.
Whether we're celebrating a birthday, promotion, or just a great meal, make each moment a Coca-Cola moment.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling.
Available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Make sure you ask for the unforgettable flavor of a classic Coca-Cola.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Hi, I'm thinking of buying a car from the States. Which port do you ship out of?
Hi, we ship out of Miami, Houston, and Brooklyn. Just let us know your port of choice and we can provide you with a quotation and answer any questions you may have on ensuring and protecting your vehicle during its journey.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
Recent worldwide events bring into focus the need for quality health care. Your life is meaningful. Your health is no laughing matter. Cayman Pharmacy Group strives to make your health their concern. Recognizing the complexities of pharmaceuticals and the need to personalize your care with one-on-one counseling. West Bay Pharmacy, Savannah Pharmacy, and CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy. Convenient quality care is just around the corner. Visit CaymanPharmacy.com for more information. Cayman Pharmacy Group, taking care of your health.
Hello, Cayman. I'm Quincy Brown. Anybody else getting mixed up with all these new coronavirus terms? Me too. But guess what? I've watched the press conferences and I've read the press releases and I've seen all the social media posts. Look here, I can help you out. Social distancing. Well, that means you're to keep a distance of 3 to 6 feet away from the person next to you. Or in layman's term, if you can see the color of the eye next to you, you're too close. Una got it now? If Una want to stay up to the time with what's going on, there's only one place for the real information, the Cayman Islands government. Visit gov.ky/coronavirus. Now remember, keep washing your hands, keep following the rules, and keep taking care of each other. Saving lives is Caymankind.
Headlines.
With the latest headlines.
Headlines.
One of Cayman's bright and shining young stars. Local, regional, international.
Headlines.
Turning to international news. Updates on the hour between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. on weekdays. All the news when you want it. Tune in to Radio Cayman for hourly headlines of the day's top stories.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. No guests in the studio now as Mr. Miller had to leave to attend meeting of the Legislative Assembly, so we have our open mic. One of our listeners has written in and said, good morning. Please share rest in peace, dearest Mrs. Olive Miller. You and your aura, poems, songs will be greatly missed at seniors' functions. Recently, you have been strongly in my thoughts, sending deepest condolences to Catherine and family. May the good Lord be with you all. in the difficult times ahead. And this one, I think they want me to point out who they are. Mrs. Amy Gold and her family wanted to send that message out as well. We have two callers. Let's go to the phone lines. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Morning, O.C.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Not too bad. I was talking to you a few mornings ago, but I got cut off. So you had to cut them off because of the advertisement. Or
oh, yes. Sorry about that.
It's concerning the tax situation. And you never heard anything about, if the government is going to do anything about that, do you?
No, as a matter of fact, before Mr. Miller left, was one of the questions, because we had some comments about bus drivers, and one of my questions that I wanted to ask him was if he had an idea how taxi drivers could be redeployed, or how those bus drivers in the tour bus drivers and stuff could be redeployed as well. And maybe you can tell me this in terms. We know that the ownership of the tour companies and stuff like that are usually local. Are the drivers usually Caymanians as well, or do they have work permit holders who are tour bus drivers?
Well, it's a mixture.
Okay.
A mixture of Caymanians, work permit holders, and status holders, or permanent residence holders. But here's my situation, I'm now 60. I went to NAU, and I asked for the $850 a month because I'm not working. Because at the 60, you get the $850. But they say they can't help me with that now. They say it could be 6 or 7 months before they help me with that.
Wow.
Okay? But, I've got a food card for $300 a month that I share with my son. But if they would give me the $850 a month, I would give up the food card. That would put, $500 a month in my pocket that I'll have to buy other stuff with. You see? But, and what's really upsetting me a bit is that, I'm here home, like you, an indigenous born Caymanian. And the reason why I'm not getting this is because all the support that I get working with holders is food and shelter. And I'm glad they can do that for those people too. But I think we need to get back to the basics of life now with this island. We need to get back to our own people. And I know it's another guy that's 60 years old and home with nothing, no job. I've been helping him out sometimes with little that I got, because I do get a small government pension. It's, mine is small because I only had 9 years service there. Yeah. But, and that pays my TV bill. It tops up my phone for the month, and it fills up my car with gas, and I left with nothing. But basically, you still got bills I'm trying to cope with.
Yeah, it's extremely difficult. No, we haven't heard anything more in terms of, what the government, if the government has any plans specifically for the transportation sector, in particular taxi drivers. We're seeing more and more companies now involved in delivery services.
Well, basically, see what I've done. I've checked 3 jobs now to drive delivery trucks, but they don't need anybody. And the people that they have on, from what I see, are all work permit people. I don't drive a truck for $7, $8 an hour. Just have something to do, a delivery truck. But there's no, and to haul one job, they offer like $4 to $5 a day, and maybe the gas and the little stuff. That's like really, this is what's happening here. We've been sitting down talking about this economy for the last 40 years on the talk show, right? And here's the problem, mostly. Let's get a better minimum wage in this island and get rid of all these work permits. Simple as that. The cost of living here is high. And I would tell you that minimum wage should be nothing less than $12 an hour. Because by the time they take out insurance and pension or you pay, people got to pay rent. They got to buy food. But I don't know how to tell you. You know the bills that we have to pay.
Yes.
You pay bills, I pay bills. Everybody knows what it takes to live. And it shouldn't bring somebody from another country here and pay them $5 and $6 an hour, knowing that they got to pay bills and eat, and food is expensive. They got to crumble up in a room with 3 or 4 other people and live in those poor conditions. To me, that's human abuse.
Yep.
That's what I call it.
And if COVID-19 has taught us anything, is that living in these crowded conditions is something that should not be allowed to continue to happen.
Exactly. That makes it worse because people are in and out all the time. And COVID-19 doesn't go away right now.
No.
I heard, I was listening to BBC News that an English doctor said to me, he says, let's just get the facts straight. He says, this is an endemic. He said, if we stay home all the time, we'll be home for a long time. He said, we need to treat this more like AIDS and incurable diseases, and you just have to get out and live with it and cope with it. And he was right.
Yeah, because we don't have a vaccine, we don't have a cure.
No, and well, the news media is so screwed up that, that's all I've been doing is watching news and keeping myself home all the time. But in about 2 months ago, I saw Al Jazeera News. You know the lining on the bottom of the TV that gives you news? China will have the vaccine ready by January. That was on Al Jazeera News. Now the Chinese president just delivered $2 billion to assist other world economies and to help out with a vaccine for this thing. And I saw that 2 months ago on TV. It's something fishy about this whole situation. I've been thinking about it a lot because when I watch all the news and hear what people say and all the videos I'm getting, something is just not right. Anyway, I had WhatsApp the premier concerning the tax thing.
Okay.
He has not replied to me. But I mean, like I said, if I can even get $850 a month from NAU, I will give up the food card and I'll be satisfied. But I have nobody in government to assist me with it yet.
Yeah. But hopefully...
NAU is a living nightmare. They need to get somebody there. I told them, give me the job, let me organize NAU. That's what they need.
Well, hopefully, in terms of your question that you sent to the Premier, that someone will ask a question in relation to the taxes and what the plans are, for them at the next press briefing. Caller, I want to thank you very much. We're going to grab another caller before we go to a commercial break. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning again, O.C.
Good morning again, ma'am.
Listen good to me now, again. The caller before this last one, like Mr. Miller said, he agreed everything he had said. Yeah, me too. But there's one word in there that I can't stand to hear because I don't really use it to that, and that's hospitality. I say it on your show and I say it on Sterling's show. Because I have so much dealing with hospitals, I can't only hear that word of hospitality. O.C.?
Yeah, I'm listening. Go right ahead. I'm listening.
Listen good to me. Listen good to this part now. I am one of the people, I'm not going to say persons, of the people or the individual that helped to build tourism. That's my word.
Yep, we know that. You've reminded us of that on several occasions. Yep, we know that.
On the West Bay Road is where that was started. And, okay, where I said about hospital just now, I'm not able to be walking up and down doing it, but I can sit down and do things, O.C. So when it comes around that the tourism is back in full force, they must think about us. I can still do something.
Yes.
Okay?
Okay.
That will ease up all this government thing that they're going to go through the NAU. I guess by 850 because OC, I'm over 69 right now. So I get mine, okay? But I make really good use of that, I don't go to no beauty salons and start busting in hair and all that, They give it to you to use for what you need it for. And that's exactly what I do in mine, you understand what I'm saying? Okay? So, back about the tourism thing, I am waiting patiently for when I can clear up, but I want to do something sitting down, but I can stand up for a little while, but I don't have my cane with me, you understand?
Okay. Well, you make sure you take care and be careful. Okay, thank you very much for that. Ms. Susan, do we have another caller? 2 more calls. We can grab one more before we go to our break. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
I know, see.
Hey, what's up?
Oh, not good as you.
Go right ahead. Listening.
Why now? The last call about the minimum wage. I didn't catch how much he said minimum wage should be.
I think he said 12. It should be at least $12 an hour, minimum wage.
Is he a businessman?
No, he's a worker.
Okay. I thought he was a businessman because...
No, he's struggling. He's struggling like many other people out there, struggling now, trying to make ends meet, without any income other than what he's getting from government coming in.
Okay, because if he was a businessman, I would ask him that why you not paying your workers $12 an hour?
No.
No, I just want to say now. That's what I was going to. But since he's not a businessman, he got his own business. That's because I know he's listening. I thought he was a businessman, so that's the reason why I call. I say, well, why you don't start paying all your workers nothing less than $12 an hour?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All right. I thought you were a businessman. Sorry.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. This one listener has written in and said, OC, if all the construction workers were tested today, by tomorrow the results would not be worth the paper they were written on. Only antibody tests make any sense, but the CMO is not willing to allow any in the island. I'm not sure about that because I think that something was mentioned about antibody tests at the last press briefing, and it was announced that they did have permission from the UK in that regard. But I'll follow up on that, and if I have the remarks, I'm told that the governor made those remarks. I'll find them and read them verbatim for you. We're going to take a commercial break. One more caller on hold. As soon as we return from that commercial break, we will take your call. So please stay tuned.
We all know there's nothing more refreshing than the taste of an ice-cold Coca-Cola straight from the cooler.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling.
Whether we're celebrating a birthday, promotion, or just a great meal, make each moment a Coca-Cola moment.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling.
Available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Make sure you ask for the unforgettable flavor of a classic Coca-Cola.
Hi, I'm remodeling our bathroom. I have a few questions.
Sure.
What are some ideas to make my bathroom feel larger? How do I know if I'm picking the right vanity? How do I choose a new toilet or a new countertop? Also, the lighting is terrible. Can I put a window or a skylight? And do I really need an exhaust fan?
You've come to the right place. At Brand Source, we custom design kitchen and baths, and our talented design team can help answer your questions. Whether you're looking for a modern, functional family bathroom or a luxurious personal retreat, we'll help create that beautiful space that makes your home yours. And if you're in a rush for a new look and have a limited budget, our ready-to-install bathroom vanities, built with solid wood and countertops of the finest materials, are a quick and easy remodeling solution.
For the very best in custom-designed kitchens and baths, visit Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, Cayman's Kitchen and Bath Center.
Christian Enlightenment Center is now open for deliveries. Call and order your favorite inspirational books, journals, Bibles, Bible cases, church supplies, stationery, and many other unique items. Christian Enlightenment Center, your complete Christian bookstore and more. To place your order for delivery, text or WhatsApp 923-8050 or email us at ceccenter@candw.ky. Check out our website at christianenlightenmentcenter.com. Browse items on your Facebook page by clicking Shop to view all our collections. Opening hours 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday to Saturday.
Attention all blood donors, we need a pint from you. Join us at the National Blood Bank this Thursday 10 a.m. until 3 p.m. The off-campus location at the Red Cross building across from the Farmers Market. Spend 15 minutes, give your pint, and save 3 lives. Curfew day not your day? Not a problem. Visit giveblood.ky, request your letter, and it will be emailed to you. The National Blood Bank Auxiliary location at the Red Cross building, compliments of the Cayman Islands Red Cross. Community partners are Rotary Club Central, Generali Health Insurance, Car City Fosters Group, and the Cayman Blood Donor Service. Remember, when blood is needed, nothing else will do. This message is courtesy of the Rotary Club Central, supporting the National Blood Bank since 1999. Rotary, connecting the world.
Helping children cope during this pandemic is important. Remember, dealing with the outbreak calmly provides your child with the best support. Lead by example and take care of your needs too. To support your child, listen and acknowledge their fears and questions. Provide clear information and be aware of your own reactions. Help children by creating new routines, limiting their exposure to media, and encouraging them to talk about what they've seen and heard. For free and confidential support, call the Mental Health Helpline weekdays from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. at 1-800-534-MIND. That's 1-800-534-MIND. 6463.
For the record with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matter. For the record with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We're in the last leg of the show this morning. Next caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Oh, I'm very well, OC, but heartbroken and sad. You know, one of my very first jobs as a young person who, those days, a lot of us stopped school and then went back into school, and I was one of them because my father had a serious accident at sea, and I felt like I was the eldest one at the home because my sister Anissa then was living in New York. She was married and living away. And I went out then to start to work. And to help my mother, you know, she had never gone out to work and all of that. And one of the first jobs I had was babysitting Miss Olive Miller's two children, Catherine and beloved Nigel. Who passed. So today my heart was broken from last night that I got that news. I really tried to sleep in late because I have not been doing that well sometimes, and some days it's worse than others. But we can't make this thing get us. But really, that tore me up because after they closed down, they visiting at the Pines, and I could understand that. I know that I started to worry about her because I go there to also visit my dear cousin Jolene. Jolene, you know, she's in there as well. And then I would get to see Miss Olive every day that I go because her room was right across from where I would have to go to see Jolene. I would go in and spend some time with her. So this morning I want to send my heartfelt condolences to Catherine and Trudy and the rest of the family. And I guess that also this thing has taken her because she loved company. A few young people I took into the hospital in March when Jolene was turning 60. I took her came from a little shop to do her nails and her hair and all that for her. And they got to meet Miss Olive for the first time, and they were so excited. And she told me, you keep doing that, you know, letting people that know you, know me, and then have company more and more too, you know.
Great.
So yes. I really felt heartbroken, and I want to say that she is a real stalwart that we are going to miss, especially during Seniors Month when she come up and come out so vibrant. She dances with everybody that will go and dance with her to hold her hand. And you know who's going to miss her dearly. I can't imagine how hot she feels this morning, and that would be Miss Clifford. Miss Clifford and her are good friends. So I want to also send my heartfelt condolences to Miss Clifford.
Okay.
That is Chucky's name,
Miss Jan Lee.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
See, every time you go to look for your dear sisters, because I don't know if you remember, but your parents and my parents were good in them days. You had certain spirits that went to spend time in town with people. And so that's how I got to know your dear family so well. So every time that you do see your sisters, tell them that they got a lot of people that are thinking about them. Anna in particular that I work with, and I sent them condolences by her children when mother died, you know. So you all have a good day and take care, and God bless you.
Thank you very much. All the best to you as well, and stay safe. One of our listeners, and unfortunately I didn't get to pose this question to Mr. Miller before he left, he said, a good point just made by the person who wrote about work permits and Caymanian opportunities. Please ask Mr. Miller if he feels that the new Department of Work, WORC, can be effective without the Labor Department being a part of it, as well as without a national policy by the government on human capital development. I think that is an excellent point. And starting out, I'll start at the last part of it, which has to do with human capital development and policy by the government. We have to have a government that not only articulates the fact that we need to have non-Caymanians in our workforce at the same time that we need to have Caymanians. They need to do more than articulate that. We have to have a government that is prepared to say Caymanians first. Caymanians first. If there's anything that this pandemic has brought to our attention, is the fact that when all of the chips are down, the only ones left in the Cayman Islands, in most instances, the main persons left in the Cayman Islands are Caymanians. And those Caymanians who are overseas and are temporarily elsewhere, they're the ones who want to come back. So at the end of the day, the majority of persons who have a commitment to these islands are the people who are indigenous to these islands, who live here, who have their being here, and who intend to die and to be buried here. So why shouldn't they be given the priority? We have to take a re-look at this economy and the way things are working. We see other jurisdictions now, the whole talk about trickle-down economy and the trickle-down effect. They're not talking about that anymore because we now know who's essential and who isn't. So we have to start to look at building things from the bottom up. If we take that approach rather than simply just articulating it that we want to create that balance, yes, we do need workers in the Cayman Islands, we do need them, but we have to utilize the Caymanians that we have to the fullest extent. Until we do that, then we will never have this ship sailing on an even keel, as well. So, thanks to Miss Susan. She has provided me with what the governor pointed out at one of the press briefings. Cayman Islands now ranks 10% in the world for testing. The news about antibody testing is very exciting and will form another very, very important tool in our armor to combat COVID-19. And this was from the press briefing of the 19th of May that the governor shared that with us, as well. And the health services, the regulatory authority in the UK, we know that they have given the nod of approval on that antibody testing, and hopefully it will soon be employed here in the Cayman Islands as well. But earlier, when we first learned about COVID-19, we heard talk about testing. We now see the importance of it. Yes, the test is only as good as the day that it is taken. Obviously, we'll need the ability to do more testing, but even more important, the wearing of masks, the physical distancing, being aware of your surroundings, treating others as if they have the virus and others treating you as if you have the virus, and that physical distancing will help with that as well. Folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman and by extension For the Record into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. I also want to remind you that we are our brothers and our sisters' keepers. There is always someone out there who's less fortunate than we are, and I ask you to extend a helping hand to them. If you can't do that, then I suggest you donate to a worthy charity, because we always want to consider those who need, not necessarily those who want. I say to you, have a great day. Continue to support your radio station, Radio Cayman. Join Sterling, Dwayne Ebanks at 12:15 for Talk Today. And as usual, I also want to bear in mind there will be no press briefing today because of the fact that the Legislative Assembly will be in session. And as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Cayman Pharmacy Group, with a location in West Bay and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. Seaboard Marine, with over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com for competitive rates.
FIS MoneyGram, the safest and most convenient way to send money worldwide. MoneyGram, bringing you closer. Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. And Fidelity Bank. Fidelity, we're good for you.
From district to district, moving through the waters to Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Your station, your voice. All things Cayman, one radio, many people. This is home.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.